Uh, Hi, welcome everyone to the another new podcast of Auto Intel, and today we have a special guest over here, Mr. Todd. And over to you, Todd. Please give our audience a brief what you have been doing and what's your experience have been in the automobile field.
Absolutely. First, thanks for having me today. It's always great to be able to talk about things I love, which is the automotive industry and technology. Currently, I'm the CEO of a company called Core AI. We're focusing on the intersection of data and AI for automotive dealers and automotive manufacturers. My background is all automotive. I grew up in the business, so I've spent my entire career and life around cars, around great people, and obviously technology. So I've done a couple startups in the space and exited, as well as been a retailer. So I had a Chevy store in North Jersey and just basically worked through almost every seat inside the dealership, except the parts manager.
That really makes sense. Speaking about Core AI, what inspired you to found Core AI, and how does it address the current challenges in the automotive industry?
Yeah, absolutely. Core, after I sold my last company, like always, you kind of get put on what I call the shelf. Can't really do too much. So I experimented, consulted with some dealer groups, a couple OEMs and dealer friends in the industry. And, I kept seeing the same challenges around data come up over and over again. That all the data inside dealerships is siloed in multiple systems, DMS, RM, different tools that dealers using to engage consumers during the sales process or service process. And I think it was probably right in 22 when OpenAI announced ChatGPT and the real to me like super birth of the LLM. And as I saw that happen, I realized it just struck me that, well, if dealers don't get their data right and organized, they'll never be able to leverage the power of AI because AI takes an enormous amount of organized data to train it, and you need longevity of data to spot patterns in the data to make the AI super efficient. So I saw it as a huge opportunity to help dealers solve the biggest problem they're going to have over the next couple of years. And that begins with data organization, normalization, what I call hygiene of the data, and then even enhancing the data with outside data from other companies to kind of fill in the holes where dealerships might be missing data around consumers.
Makes sense. You emphasize the importance of data ownership for dealerships. So why it is crucial in the age of AI?
Yeah, well, think about that. I mean, if you don't own your data, that's a problem. These are your customers, the people you're doing business with. To me, they're more valuable than the land the dealership sits on, or the building, or the inventory. The only thing I would even say is compatible value-wise is all the people who run the dealership, right? I mean, that's a very critical part. But I look at the data of all the customers you do business with, interact with. That's the heart of your organization. Without customers, you don't survive in a business. So I think it's critical for dealers to put a data first mindset, especially in 2025, because of the need. And for me, it's not just AI. When you have good, clean data, you're more operationally efficient. So, and especially around marketing, where right now dealers send lots of, let's say, emails or direct mail to their customer database. But many of those people don't own the car any longer. Some of those people, maybe bought at the store but service somewhere else. Some of those people, they're just not in market. So your message falls on deaf ears. And I think there's a huge value, disproportionate value for being able to, once you clean your data, to bring the cost of your marketing down, be more operationally efficient. And this allows you also to deliver what I consider personalization, where now it's kind of one message to everyone. With data, you can now personalize things at scale way more efficiently. So I look at data as that one thing that kind of is the first domino of a whole series of dominoes, whether it's more efficient operations, whether it's marketing, whether it's AI. It all begins with organized data. And I feel like it's always been what I consider more of a afterthought inside the retail dealership. But I think in today's world, it has to come to the forefront.
Makes sense. Coming from AI to the family, like the surrounding and the environment that you have been up, like the environment that you have been abroad. So, like I read one of your blogs that your families is passionate about cars. How did they influence you to choosing your career path?
Yeah, so you ever know some things you're just destined to do? Both my neighbors were big auto guys, and being around their kids and, allowed me to always be around cars. And be around, as a kid, you want to be around cool cars, especially in the 80s. I was around like Lamborghinis and Corvettes and amazingly awesome cars. So as a kid, the posters on my walls were also cars sitting not in our family's driveway, but my neighbor's family's driveway. So I, started cleaning cars because it allowed me to kind of touch and experience cars that as a young kid you just weren't. I couldn't afford any of these. And I think from there the opportunity just presented itself that if I took it very seriously, the auto industry would be a great career. And because it's very challenging for yourself, like to learn how to sell, to learn how to communicate efficiently, to learn just how to interact with people and help people get what they're trying to get, like buy a car. And you know what? There's such joy when a person buys a car. They're so excited. I feel that passion rubs back off on you, or it should. I really should, because it's an amazing day, right? If you've bought a car, I'm sure, and when you get the car, it's either the new car smell or it's the new car smell to you. You just can't wait to drive that car home, show your family, show your friends, go out on a date, whatever it is. I look at it as like it's an amazing business. And I feel like there's a couple types of people that work in the auto business. Some do it just because they have limited other options. Some do it because they absolutely are passionate about the business. I think I mostly fall into that category. And I think there's some people that were just born into it. Are second, third, fourth generation auto dealers. It's like the Mandarin. This is the way. So they were never going to do anything else. So I think it's such a big industry too. And to me, it's exciting. And I think it's one of the few industries I can say maybe real estate's similar but different, because real estate kind of takes like a longer time to become successful, while you could walk into a dealership, gets training, start selling cars tomorrow, and start earning money. And there's not that many things you can do like that when you still have a huge support around you to do it. Like, yeah, you could do like door-to-door sales, right, and try to sell stuff, but that's not an infrastructure around you, training and resources. I think the car business is the absolute best way to quickly go from one place in your life to another. And I think more people should be involved in the car industry.
And speaking about selling, like you mentioned, like selling Jolly Ranchers in third grade as your first entrepreneurial venture. So, how did this like early experiences influence your approach in business in the automotive sector as well?
Yeah, so all the automotive tech to me really started to happen in about 1995. So I'd already been selling cars for a few years. And like anything, when the tech came out, I was always interested in technology. I have an older half brother, so he had a gateway computer. So I was super fascinated to understand computers and get on CompuServe and AOL dial up. So probably far before your time, Sundar. But interesting enough, I just like tech. And then being the young person at the dealership, when the internet kind of came out, the owners just point at you and say, "You're the internet person." And I'm like, I don't even know what that is, but we'll figure it out. And through that time, it really allowed me to be at like what I consider the ground floor of the internet's impact on automotive retailing. So I got to basically see everything from that front row seat. And it's changed a lot from the beginning. I ended up writing the first book about selling cars on the internet in 1996. In fact, here, this will make you laugh. I think I still have it down here somewhere. Let's see. So, in a very funny world. There you go. So, automotive retailing. And the funniest thing, and I laugh when I see this, it's a 3-ring binder. It has everything like how to get listed in the Yahoo directory, to how to set up your email and Outlook because there was no CRMs. The interesting thing, even in the title, I say get on the internet. And now it's kind of crazy because I have a 14-year-old and I'm like, oh, I need to get online. And he's like, everything's online, Dad. Like the television's online, your phone's online. How do you get online? He doesn't even have that vernacular, that like vocabulary to do it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting old.
As a father, like a serial entrepreneur and a surfer as well, so how do you balance like all these personal passions with the demands of leading innovative tech ventures?
Yeah, so
How do you
you
balance
know,
all of this?
I'm not sure I'm a good candidate to answer that because I probably am not super balanced.
Okay.
I love what I do. I'm super passionate about it. I mean, I love my family. I love to spend time with them as well. Probably, I probably would enjoy spending more time with them but I have limited time, and I get a lot of. I always want to help my family. Like I walk with my son every morning. We walk the dog, so it's our time to kind of connect and bond, especially around the future, right? Because I have no idea. He's 14. What is this kid going to do? And what's even going to be available for him to do? And I think that plays into my role. But then when I talk to other entrepreneurs or other people's companies that I'm trying to help as well, there's lots of people who have great ideas, and I feel there's also that mentoring that I do as well. And it's weird because as much as I'm mentoring one group of people, then I personally have mentors that I reach out to who, have different experience than I have to kind of help me. So I think that as I think about balancing it, I think it's an always changing tide. I don't think you can put like strict guidelines down because there's some periods in a business you have to work 23 hours a day. And that's the only thing you'll focus on if you want it to work. And then there's other times you can move that back a little bit and, bring in other things. So I'm definitely an extremist in this regard. And I'm definitely the type of person that I think once I kind of sink my teeth into something, I just don't let go.
Now, reflecting on your journey, like what key lessons have you learned and that you have passed on to an aspiring entrepreneur in the automotive tech space?
Wow. So lessons. I think number one lesson, always keep a beginner's mind. So I learned that at my philosophy in college. And there was a quote that went with it. It's in a beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In an expert's, there are few. Always keep a beginner's mind in everything you approach. So to me, I think keeping a beginner's mind always resonates that, yeah, I may know how to solve that problem, but tech has changed, things have changed, business has changed. So, kind of, you want to look at it through fresh eyes all the time. And this helps you, to me, to have an open mind and to approach things with curiosity instead of approaching things like, I know about that, I know exactly how to deal with it. So even if you do know, it's sometimes nice to do the exercise to kind of peel everything back and kind of start it again from the beginning. I think it's super important. Big lessons I've probably learned: there is no such thing as failure unless you quit. And sometimes you'll have to quit. There's things that just won't go your way. I've definitely learned that because of that, especially in business, timing is probably more critical than the product. And it's crazy to think about this, but the timing, this what you've built, the right thing for that right moment. And you can be too early to a market, you could be too late and fail, but I find that timing to me has been more important than financing, money raised, more important sometimes than the product being completed. Is this the right time for that product in the marketplace? I look at the guy, Bill Gross, who did Idea Factory. He did a very interesting TED Talk about this, and I kind of dug in. He has funded well over 300 and some companies. He analyzed them all. And so, I mean, a lot of these companies went public. I mean, these are huge, you would say, commercial successes. But he said it was really timing. so to market. And I was like, I always find that really interesting. So I think when I talk to entrepreneurs, the hardest question I always ask is it the right time for this? And then why? And I think once you get over that hurdle, then you start thinking about all the other additional hurdles of business. You kind of run through them.
Now coming back to AI, our favorite topic. So like, how do you like envision AI, especially like AI voice agents and chatbots, disrupting car dealerships by in 2025?
Yeah, so look, obviously chatbots are one component of AI, right? And it's one we see kind of, I feel it's like the first maybe commercial type application that dealers have experimented with or companies are building for dealers to experiment with. I find the current chatbot landscape a little limiting, and I think it's because they don't have access to enough training data to be as effective as I think a consumer would want it to be. So I think there's still a slight disconnect. Again, it goes back to data to me. When you have good data up front, it makes these systems just operate far more efficiently and it makes them more valuable. So I think the first generation of chatbots we've seen in automotive have limiting capabilities. Now, I expect that to change over a period of time. I expect to see more around voice, being able to handle inbound phone calls and even do outbound phone calls using AI. Obviously, we've already seen AI start to impact automating like text messages or emails back to lost opportunities. So I look at these things, all of them would be best served if they connected to the same data center that the dealership owns versus all independently accessing data up and across the stack of technology for the dealer. So I see the biggest impact for dealers this year. I think it's going to be a first, like what I call step, where they're going to try to put these technologies to work alongside people. And that's how it should be. I think this is the first real kind of positive step that you don't want, let's say, a bot to just go off on its own. You kind of want it to run parallel to a human now, because this way the human can kind of be the guardrails to help train it, as well as not create any bad consumer experiences. And I think that's how we're going to see the first part of this kind of bot world. I think a lot of this probably will get usurped fast because of true autonomous agents. I think we're going to see a lot more this year come out. And I think with the autonomous agents, I think that changes the entire playing field. I think it usurps the bots and just changes how business is done.
Actually, right now it's like it acts like a AI voice agents acts like a telecalling center. When a leads comes in through marketing campaigns like Meta and AdWords, this leads comes in within 30-45 seconds. The AI voice agent calls them, qualifies them, and if the lead is like hot enough to buy the car, if the lead is like transferred then and there to a live agent, like a human agent. So that's what's happening and making use of the most of the AI technology as well, tech as well.
See, if you see it in action in the US, you go to automotive websites, you play with a chatbot. It's just they have limited what it knows and understands. So it's not as helpful as we probably want it to be. As far as qualifying people, you have two sides of this. Am I qualifying them on the product? Or am I qualifying the customer like financially to approve the customer? So I think there's that side of this that you kind of have to look at. And I just don't know if we're there quite yet. I think it won't be hard to connect up those things, but like anything, it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And I also think it's the patience of consumers, right? So if a consumer tries the bot and doesn't get the right answer or the answer they perceive as right, then what are they going to do? They're just going to call or they're going to email or they're going to abandon that store and go to a different store and go through a different process. And I
Yeah.
don't think dealers want that to happen.
Exactly. That's true. And yeah, speaking about the finance sector, like the agents, what I've seen right now can ask the consumer about the CIBIL score, and if they can give the loan interest rate and details accordingly to that. But it depends upon the CIBIL score they say. If that's not right, the all the details won't be right. So yeah, there's pros and cons that's happening right now. Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, qualifying people in the US, there's a whole legal process of doing this, right? There's rules to be able to do that. Pulling credit, you need consent. Pulling soft credit, you still need a slight consent.
Exactly.
Soft pull is not a hard pull. So, and though they're very similar, what happens if the bot gives misinformation? Does that make the dealership maybe liable for a lawsuit? Like, I don't know all the inner workings of what most likely is going to have to be worked out in all those steps, but there are a lot of steps in the retail chain to complete a transaction, and for a bot to do it, it's going to be challenging today. Now it'll get there. I think, like all of this, you just have to work through the process, and I think it's step by step.
Yeah, exactly. It's step by steps, and there would be obstacles in the path. So, what do you think are the common obstacles a dealership would face when integrating AI solutions, and how they can overcome that?
Yeah, well, it depends. If the dealer builds his own solution, it's one thing. If the dealer was like investing in low code, no code type of chatbots and they're trying to work through it, obviously they still need centralized data for that. If it's a vendor doing it, vendor needs access to training data to understand the consumers and be able to actually be helpful. So I think both of them share the same challenge for that, meaning, you need good data, normalized, updated, enhanced, and then that data needs to be put in a format with relational tables plus usually vectoring the data, putting it on the graph. Like, you need to make data AI ready, and that is the to me the number one hurdle today inside dealerships, because they have data held across 10, 12 systems, and because of that you don't get a very clear view of the customer. You have very spotty views of the customer. You wouldn't want to say one thing without all the information. What happens if the bot chats and goes, "Hey, welcome, and you've been a previous customer, you were just in service." Like, but didn't have that training data, didn't have that. Like, so you run these risks, I think. So a dealer getting started, I think, part you have to have a very open mind and to be able to experiment and try some things and really measure the impact. I think the most important thing I always look at, am I creating more problems for myself with this piece of technology or process? Or am I delivering value to my consumers? Am I becoming more efficient as an organization? All these things kind of stack up to me, where you kind of have to look at them all like cohesively together, because if you look at each one independently and you're making decisions that way, I think you'll have a tendency to overvalue certain things and underappreciate other things. That, like, it could be, wow, it's getting us really efficient, but it's pissing off customers. Or, hey, it's making customers really happy, but my gosh, the additional workload our team is forced to do now, it's not sustainable. So I think all those considerations have to be taken in as you experiment with this new tech. The goal is, I still believe, like, make us more efficient, make us better at what we're already trying to do, and delight customers along the way. I mean, those should be the bars we're setting and in working.
Makes sense. And in what ways can like the data generated data and the AI voice agents like enhance the dealership's experience for customers? Like working together. For example, a lead comes through from a Meta Google or Google Ads, and you get the data from there, and the data is uploaded into CRM. And from there, the AI voice agents calls the prospect, like the lead. And how can this both, like the data that generated from and the AI voice agents, work together for improve the customer experiences of a dealership?
Yeah. So it's a good question. So the first thing, one of the things we've been working on a lot is, okay, that, let's say, lead, right, has come in from, as you said, Google or Meta. When that lead comes in, the first thing is this an existing customer? Is this a known entity that we know? What do we know about this customer? And now let's use external data as well. Like, we do a propensity scoring model. Is this customer, so 0 to 1,000 score, anything over 8 50-ish, they're in market. They're looking to buy a car. Now, they could be of
Can you just
500.
like explain what's proximity score like?
Yeah,
If
so we
most of the
look at
audience
well
don't know the
over
tech terms.
Yeah, so we're looking at well over 1,000 global indicators. Once we ID you, we can now look out to the web, your interaction. Have you soft pulled your credit to know? Did you get a new job? Have you just moved? Like we are looking at tons of interactions on 310 million Americans. And because of that, if I can match you putting a lead in to our data, then we know far more about you. Like we know, are you actually in market to buy? We know what you can afford because we understand your household income and the debts. We understand most likely the car you're going to buy, or we can narrow it down because everybody lives in what's called a cohort. And there's 74 of them. Cohorts are a bundle. Like you would say, this group are professional, empty nesters, retired, living majority on passive income, like to do charity work, love to travel, have a camper, etc. Now, over here, you have a different cohort that is single parent, low income, not educated, whatever. And so it's very interesting that, I mean, we all believe we're snowflakes, like we're truly individual to the entire world. But the real reality data shows you're one of 74 people. So when you have this additional data and understanding about consumers, then you can actually guide consumers far more efficiently. And you can quickly know these are the best. These people are going to buy cars. These people are kind of still deciding. So the conversation needs to be different. And these people are just tire kickers. So the conversation is also different. So when you have this intelligence surrounding that lead data, it changes the types of conversations you can have. And then at that point, you're far more efficient and effective in your communication. Because when you reach out, if you reach out to everybody the same, that's inefficient. You should be able to reach out and go, okay, I know this person's on the last part of their buying process, meaning they are, it's us or a competitor. They've already really selected the car. That's a different conversation than someone who puts a lead in and goes, well, I don't know if I want a Tahoe or Suburban. I have
Exactly.
kids and they have hockey gear and or I don't know about this car. I saw an ad and is it safe? Or I don't know about, maybe I want a hybrid or electric. Like all these questions, right? So you have different people and data can tell us where they're at. So first we understand based on cohort who they are. Then we understand where they're at in their buying process. So that's where AI is magical, because AI is insanely good at taking huge amounts of data and finding patterns in the data to be able to help us better serve customers.
Makes sense. So yeah, like I have made a AI voice agent. So would you be open to giving a review on the live in the podcast so that I can improve the AI voice agent accordingly, and for the audience they can see how the AI voice agent works in day-to-day life. Would
Yeah,
you be
let's have some
open?
fun.
Cool.
How can I assist you with your vehicle care today?
Yes, I'd like to schedule an oil change.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to help with that. Can you let me know the day that works best for you so I can check the availability for our mobile team?
Yes, this Thursday morning would probably be great.
Great. Thursday morning sounds good. Could you please share your location so we can confirm availability for mobile service in your area?
Yes, I'm in Orlando, Florida.
Thank you. Let me check the availability for Thursday morning in Orlando real quick. All right. It looks like we have availability on Thursday morning. I'll confirm the booking for you. Can I have your name, please?
Yes, my name is Todd Smith.
Nice. Thank you, Todd. Can I have your email address so we can send you a confirmation of the appointment?
Sure, it's Todd,
Great.
TODD, at QoreAI.com.
Thank you, Todd. And can I also have your phone number in case our mobile team needs to contact you?
Sure.
Got it, Todd. Lastly, could you please confirm the type of service you're looking for?
Yes,
You mentioned an oil change, but do you also need any additional services like routine maintenance or anything specific for your vehicle?
Yes, I'd like to add wiper blades? And do you also do tire rotations?
Absolutely, Todd. We can take care of the wiper blades and perform a tyre rotation for you as well. So, just to recap, we're scheduling an oil change along with wiper blade replacement and tyre rotation for this Thursday morning at your location in Orlando. Your appointment is confirmed. If you have any further questions or need to make changes, feel free to contact us. Thanks for choosing AutoStone, Todd. Have a great day.
Thanks. So that's cool.
You're
So yeah, look,
What do you think?
I love voice stuff because it's like the next generation, right? Past the chatbot where I have to type things in, and it sounds good. I feel it flows good. Being able to capture that. So I like the idea because what I consider like blocking point for dealers is truly around their phone. And they get all these incoming phone calls, but you only have so many people who can physically, be on.
Exactly.
It's a one-to-one relationship.
Attend the calls.
While this is
Exactly.
like this is a million to one relationship. You know what I mean? Like you could have 1,000 phone calls happen simultaneously, and then this could pick them all up instantly and not drop any, lose any, put any in voicemail. I think that's a critical thing. And I've seen a few people in automotive working in that space, and I find a lot of them are using more decision tree type data or like structure in the back, like trying to work people through it. So this I like the idea that it has the flexibility. And I think for scheduling, this could be a very simple type of application for a dealer. And tying it to availability for the dealer. So for service,
Exactly.
service is really critical that they have a shop load manager. So it's loading, okay, I can't take 400 oil changes in a day. I can only take X. So I have slots for them. And then I have slots for tire rotations or engine repair or transmission. Like they block things out. So to me, this tool becomes far more valuable once you can connect into that data stream. Then, yeah, I feel
Exactly.
like you would never want to fill out a form again. I think also tying it in that by my phone number will recognize it's me. Oh, Todd, let me confirm this is you. And it
Yeah.
texts me a code that I can put into the voice prompt. And now I have that correlation that I know, oh, are you calling about your whatever 2019 GT3, right? What are you calling? Like, so to me, I think that'll be super valuable. So as you do this.
Yeah, exactly. And you can also have the data of the scheduling. And once it's also automated, like it can be automated through CRM. Once you get the date and time, and at the end of the call, there is an automated message going, there is an automated email going for the confirmation that this time and date is booked for the oil change and kind of stuff. So yeah,
Cool. I
that's
love it.
happening, and like collaborating it with data and like have many opportunities in like vast number of opportunities. So yeah, that's
But
something we
yeah,
are
there's
looking
going to be a
forward for.
lot. So
Makes
it's
sense.
great.
So yeah, cool. So what do you think we can improve in the voice agent? Like, what do you see? Like, if you are building an AI voice agent by yourself, so what would be that one thing that you would require in the voice agent?
I feel like I liked, it was slow. It had the one thing when I said my name for my email, it kind of little wonky at that moment, but it kind of cleared itself. I feel like overall experience really good there. The points where I think improving it would be like let me check the availability, bring me back that. If it would have auto really found me, like, hey, have you recently serviced with us? Maybe you change the system that it has more intelligence founded in data will be really good
Yeah.
as you build this out. But just as a standalone demo piece, this is good. So I think a lot of it will be getting it into the process, right? Getting it connected to the data to make this far more valuable, right? Because dealers don't need one more disconnected tool, right? They want it, they're going to want it completely integrated. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. But yeah, I think you're on the right road.
Cool. So,
Definitely. I like it.
Makes sense. Thank you. Thank you so much. And how has the like shift towards the digital retailing impacted like you have been speaking about the traditional way, like traditional dealership models. So how has the shift towards like digital and AI impacted the traditional dealership models?
Yeah, look, the digital model is still the same, right? It's been the same for the past, gosh, even since 95 when tech first started, but tech really started to find its way into dealerships around 2000. In the last 25 years, retail is still retail. And as much as new tech comes in, a lot of times dealers will still fall back to their more traditional things. During the pandemic, digital retailing became very popular. And then as soon as the pandemic was done, dealers went back to their traditional way to do business. I think because it's just easier and they're used to it. And, all old habits are really hard to break. So technology, to me, you can't be twice as good or 5 times as good. The tech has to be X better than what they're doing to get them to kind of relook at things in a lot of cases. So to me, it's a very important thing of like, nope, it's got to be far better for them to like go through it. So because I think
Makes sense.
they don't like
How
the pain. Now nobody does. Nobody likes change in general. We don't
nobody
like to
likes the pain.
change as
Yeah.
people. So I think to change, we have to think through that and provide so much value you can't ignore it.
Makes sense. Now, yeah, we are like forwarding towards the end of the podcast, unfortunately. But before we end, what strategic advice would you offer to dealerships looking to stay competitive in this rapidly evolving
Yeah, I
market?
feel like stay up, read, right? Understand this. Like, I think it's even if you are not young and like brought up on this stuff, I think you have to read about it from like really good sources, like Harvard. Like, you should read about AI just in general, how it's going to impact us and what's going on in the space. I think that's the number one thing. I think two, for dealerships, I absolutely believe that they should experiment more and not just shift everything and change. I think they should make more small bets. And I always liked Amazon's theory on this. Amazon has 1 and 2 way doors. So they look at things as a 1 way door, they'll only do 5 or 6 a year. These are dramatic shifts for the business that once they go through that door, there is no coming back. Yet they'll make thousands and thousands of 2 way bets, meaning they'll walk through a door, they'll experiment, then they come back. It's not changing their business outcomes. And I think building a environment for experimentation is going to help dealers truly leverage AI, because you can't just bet the farm. Like, that's bad business. What you want to do is set up an infrastructure that enables you to take all these small little chances. Hey, I want to try voice AI assistant. I want to try a bot on a site. I want to try this. And be able to quantify and measure the outcome. And the struggle for most dealers, they're not really good at quantifying the outcomes. Like, it's because it's all blurred into multiple things. Like with marketing, do you really know which marketing component was the golden thread that made a consumer buy? No, no, not even close. Google hasn't figured it out. So why on earth do you think a car dealer is going to figure that out? Not even close. So to
Yeah.
me, I think as I look at things, keeping it very like, experimentation, especially around AI, we're going to see lots of things, but it's also going to change the space rapidly. So, as you know, because you experiment with it and you're building this tool, even the frameworks you're using change almost. It seems like monthly. You could be
Exactly.
like, "Hey, we're going to use X," and then it's like, "Nope, someone usurped it. There's an easier way to do it." Or, "My gosh, I could take 4,000 lines of code and now it's 6," and you're like, "What?" And I think that's the amazing thing. We're dealing with such a transitionary time in life with these technologies. And I think it's, play with them. None of them will kill you. Eat them up, learn them. They're not, Terminator. I think for dealers, it's like play with ChatGPT, play with Claude, play with Perplexity, have Gemini if you use Google or Google Mail. Like, Just see how these things are working, and then you will figure out how to make them work in your business to be more efficient.
Makes sense. So, what do you have to say about like dealerships like shying away from AI voice agents and AI data kind of stuff?
Yeah, listen, I absolutely believe we're going to enter that time, right? I think everyone liked Siri, right? And everyone liked Alexa. And I think for dealers, the real reality and consumers, I believe they will trust the AI more than they'll trust the person. And why I say that is I've already seen this in action where the consumer will trust the machine over a person. And a good case in point, if I were on a bot and I started to make suggestions, you'd be like, oh, okay, that's interesting, or oh, I don't like that, or whatever. But if I'm a person and we're physically like, face to face, and I tell you something, your brain automatically will go, oh, no, 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 no. I don't know. Want to, put to me like your reasoning is different with people. I think people believe the computer. If the computer says fill this form in, do you question it? No. You fill in the form,
No,
right?
exactly.
Because you want the output.
Yeah.
So to me, if I walked up to you and said, "Hey, Sundar, fill this form out," you'd be like, "Why? What are you going to do with it? Like, where's this information go?" You would give me a series of questions and concerns. But if I sent you to a website, you're just going to fill out the form. So I think with these voice agents, I feel will behaviorally be able to leverage that natural componentry of people that the agent just kind of helps me out, and it's like my car assistant, right? So I'm just gonna hit the button and I'm gonna get whatever I need.
Cool. And what's your next, what's next for you, for you and Core AI? Are there any upcoming projects or innovations you're excited about that you would like to share to our audience?
Yeah, we continue, like I'm sure we're just constantly in a state of innovation, right? And we have breakthroughs all the time. We have breakthroughs in understanding the data. We have breakthroughs where, in just the AI and its ability to spot and understand things inside the dealership data. I think our roadmap this year is very clear. It starts with helping dealers understand the value of their data and to organize their data. That for us is our ground zero, where we know we have to get there first for dealers to really start to take advantage of truly leveraging the power of AI. As you notice on my writing, everything is like focusing on free your data. And to me, it's learn your truth, right? Like free your data means get all your data across all these systems you use into one thing that you own as the dealer. We just help manage it, where you are in control of all the data. And then find your truth to us is it's just that. Like with all that data organized, leveraging the power of AI, you're going to understand more about how your dealership operates. You're going to understand more about your consumers. You're going to understand more about what drives consumers to do business with you specifically. And your employees are going to be able to leverage this to have far better interactions with your customers and reduce the cost to acquire customers. I think it's going to touch so many things. And I think for us, though, it starts at that there's a nucleus, and that nucleus is organized data.
That's awesome. There's so many things coming up for you, and as you said, like it's always evolving. So where do you think that our audience can find you? Like the best place to reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. LinkedIn. Easily, you can come on LinkedIn, publish all the times. Just Todd Lear Smith is my, I guess, handle. I'm constantly either publishing stuff or commenting on other people's things or commenting on people who have questions. You can DM me as well, or just feel free. You can email me. It's just Todd, TODD, @coreai.com.
If anyone has questions or anyone want have synergies, that you can reach out to Todd in LinkedIn. Smith is the profile name. I'll drop a link in the description. You guys can go and have a check out. Cool. So it was a pleasure having you on the podcast, Todd. We have many more areas to touch, and we would like to have you in another podcast. So looking forward to it. All the best for your future endeavors, and all the best for Core AI as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the time. It was a great conversation today.